1980s and early 1990s, most BBCs used ANSI to make elaborate welcome screens and colorized menus, and thus, ANSI support was a sought-after feature in terminal client programs. The development of ANSI art became so popular that it spawned an entire BBS Arshin subculture devoted to it. The Amiga Skyline BBS software in 1988 featured a script markup language communication protocol called SkyPix, which was capable of giving the user a complete graphical interface, featuring rich graphics, changeable fonts, mouse-controlled actions, animations and sound. Today, most BBS software that is still actively supported, such as Whirl Group, Wildcat, BBS and Citadel /UX, is web-enabled, and the traditional text interface has been replaced, or operates concurrently, with a web-based user interface. For those more nostalgic for the true BBS experience, one can use NetSerial, Windows, or DOS-Box, Windows /*Nix, to redirect DOS/COM port software to Telnet, allowing them to connect to Telnet BBCs using 1980s and 1990s era modem terminal emulation software, like Telix, Terminate, Cmodem and Procom Plus. Modern 32-bit terminal emulators such as mTelnet and SyncTerm include native Telnet support. Content and access, edit. Since most early BBCs were run by computer hobbyists, they were typically technical in topic, with user communities revolving around hardware and software discussions. As the BBS phenomenon grew, so did the popularity of special interest boards. Bulletin board systems could be found for almost every hobby and interest. Popular interests included politics, religion, music, dating, and alternative lifestyles. Many system operators also adopted a theme in which they customized their entire BBS, welcome screens, prompts, menus, and so on, to reflect that theme. Common themes were based on fantasy, or were intended to give the user the illusion of being somewhere else, such as in a sanatorium, wizard's castle, or on a pirate ship. In the early days, the file download library consisted of files that the system operators obtained themselves from other BBCs and friends. Many BBCs inspected every file uploaded to their public file download library to ensure that the material did not violate copyright law. As time went on, shareware CD-ROMs were sold with up to thousands of files on each CD-ROM. Small BBCs copied each file individually to their hard drive. Some systems used a CD-ROM drive to make the files available. Advanced BBCs used multiple CD-ROM disk changer units that switched 6 CD-ROM disks on demand for the caller. Large systems used all 26 DOS drive letters with multi-disk changers housing tens of thousands of copyright-free shareware or freeware files available to all callers. These BBCs were generally more family-friendly, avoiding the seedier side of BBCs. Access to these systems varied from single to multiple modem lines, with some requiring little or no confirmed registration. Some BBCs, called Elite, Wares or Pirate boards, were exclusively used for distributing cracked software, phreaking, and other questionable or unlawful content. These BBCs often had multiple modems and phone lines, allowing several users to upload and download files at once. Most Elite BBCs used some form of new user verification, where new users would have to apply for membership and attempt to prove that they were not a law enforcement officer or a lamer. The largest Elite boards accepted users by invitation only. Elite boards also spawned their own subculture and gave rise to the slang known today as Leet Speak. Another common type of board was the support BBS run by a manufacturer of computer products or software. These boards were dedicated to supporting users of the company's products with question and answer forums, news and updates, and downloads. Most of them were not a free call. Today, these services have moved to the web. Some general-purpose bulletin board systems had special levels of access that were given to those who paid extra money, uploaded useful files or knew the system operator personally. These specialty and paid BBSs usually had something unique to offer their users, such as large file libraries, whereas pornography, chat rooms or internet access. Paid BBSs such as the Well and Echo NYC, now internet forums rather than dial-up, exec-PC, Subnetwork and Mindvox, which folded in 1996, were admired for their tight-knit communities and quality discussion forums. However, many free BBSs also maintained close-knit communities, and some even had annual or biannual events where users would travel great distances to meet face-to-face with their online friends. These events were especially popular with BBSs that offered chat rooms. Some of the BBSs that provided access to illegal content faced opposition. On the 12th of July, 1985, in conjunction with a credit card fraud investigation, the Middlesex County, New Jersey Sheriff's Department raided and seized the private sector BBS, which was the official BBS for Grey Hat Hacker Quarterly 2600 magazine at the time. The notorious Rusty N. Eddy's BBS, in Boardman, Ohio, was raided by the FBI in January 1993 for trading unlicensed software, and later sued by Playboy for copyright infringement in November 1997. In Flint, Michigan, a 21-year-old man was charged with distributing child pornography through his BBS in March 1996. Networks, edit. This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. January 2024, learn how and when to remove this message. Most early BBSs operated as individual systems. Information contained on that BBS never left the system, and users would only interact with the information and user community on that BBS alone. However, as BBSs became more widespread, there evolved a desire to connect systems together to share messages and files with distant systems and users. The largest such network was FidoNet. As is, it was prohibitively expensive for the hobbyist system operator to have a dedicated connection to another system. FidoNet was developed as a store and forward network. Private email, netmail, public message boards, echomail, and eventually even file attachments on a FidoNet-capable BBS would be bundled into one or more archive files over a set time interval. These archive files were then compressed with ARC or ZIP and forwarded to, or polled by, another nearby node or hub via a dial-up modem session. Messages would be relayed around various FidoNet hubs until they were eventually delivered to their destination. The hierarchy of FidoNet BBS nodes, hubs, and zones was maintained in a routing table called a nodalist. Some larger BBSs or regional FidoNet hubs would make several transfers per day, some even to multiple nodes or hubs, and as such, transfers usually occurred at night or in the early morning when toll rates were lowest. In Fido's heyday, sending a netmail message to a user on a distant FidoNet node, or participating in an echomail discussion could take days, especially if any FidoNet nodes or hubs in the message's route only made one transfer call per day. FidoNet was platform independent and would work with any BBS that was written to use it. BBSs that did not have integrated FidoNet capability could usually add it using an external FidoNet front-end mailer such as SEADOG, Front Door, Binkleterm, Intermail or dBridge, and a mail processor such as FastEcho or Squish. The front-end mailer would conduct the periodic FIDONet transfers, while the mail processor would usually run just before and just after the mailer ran. This program would scan for and pack up new outgoing messages, and then unpack, sort and toss the incoming messages into a BBS user's local email box or into the BBS's local message bases reserved for echo mail. As such, these mail processors were commonly called scanner/tosser/packers. Many other BBS networks followed the example of FIDONet, using the same standards and the same software. These were called FIDONet Technology Networks, FTNs. They were usually smaller and targeted at selected audiences. Some networks used QWK doors, and others such as RelayNet, RIME, and WWIVeNet used non-FIDO software and standards. Before commercial Internet access became common, these networks of BBSs provided regional and international email and message bases. Some even provided gateways, such as UFGIT, by which members could send and receive email to and from the Internet via UUCP, and many FIDONet discussion groups were shared via Gateway to Usenet. Elaborate schemes allowed users to download binary files, search Gopher space, and interact with distant programs, all using plain text email. As the volume of FIDONet mail increased and news groups from the early days of the Internet became available, satellite data downstream services became viable for larger systems. The satellite service provided access to FIDONet and Usenet news groups in large volumes at a reasonable fee. By connecting a small dish and receiver, a constant downstream of thousands of FIDONet and Usenet news groups could be received. The local BBS only needed to upload new outgoing messages via the modem network back to the satellite service. This method drastically reduced phone data transfers while dramatically increasing the number of message forums. FIDONet is still in use today, though in a much smaller form, and many echo mail groups are still shared with Usenet via FIDONet to Usenet gateways. Widespread abuse of Usenet with spam and pornography has led to many of these FIDONet gateways to cease operation completely. Shareware and freeware, edit. Main article, shareware. Much of the shareware movement was started via user distribution of software through BBSs. A notable example was Phil Katz's Cook, and later PXIP, using the same .zip algorithm that WinZip and other popular archivers now use. Also other concepts of software distribution like freeware, postcardware like JPEGView and donationware like Red Rider for the Macintosh first appeared on BBS sites. Doom from ID Software and nearly all Apogee software games were distributed as shareware. Apogee is, in fact, credited for adding an order form to a shareware demo. The Internet has largely erased the distinction of shareware. Most users now download the software directly from the developer's website rather than receiving it from another BBS user sharing it. Today shareware is commonly used to mean electronically distributed software from a small developer. Many commercial BBS software companies that continue to support their old BBS software products switched to the shareware model or made it entirely free. Some companies were able to make the move to the Internet and provide commercial products with BBS capabilities. Features, edit. A classic BBS had 1. A computer. 2. One or more modems. 3. One or more phone lines, with more allowing for increased concurrent users. 4. A BBS software package. 5. A SysOp system operator. 6. A user community. The BBS software usually provides 1. Menu systems. 2. One or more message bases. 3. Uploading and downloading of message packets in QWK format using XModem, YModem or XModem. 4. File areas. 5. Live viewing of all caller activity by the system operator. 6. Voting opinion booths. 7. Statistics on message posters, top uploaders / downloaders. 8. Online games, usually single player or only a single active player at a given time. 9. A doorway to third-party online games. 10. Usage auditing capabilities. 11. Multi-user chat, only possible on multi-line BBSs. 12. Internet email, more common in later internet-connected BBSs. 13. Networked message boards. 14. Most modern BBSs allow telnet access over the internet using a telnet server and a virtual fossil driver. 15. A yell for system op page caller side menu item that sounded an audible alarm to the system operator. If chosen, the system operator could then initiate a text-to-text chat with the caller. 16. Primitive social networking features, such as leaving messages on a user's profile. See also, edit. 1. ANSI art. 2. Freenet. 3. Imageboard. 4. Internet forum. 5. Internet relay chat. 6. List of BBS software. 7. List of bulletin board systems. 8. Minitel. 9. Online magazine. 10. PODSnet. 11. Shell account. 12. Terminal emulator. 13. Textboard. 14. User-generated content. 15. Usenet. Notes, edit.